Worry is a sumo.
It slams into you, putting you in a sumo hold, and all that strength and weight pushes forward.
Stopping it can be difficult. Stick around as the rolling therapist explains the powerful worry of generalized anxiety disorder and what you can do about this hulking menace. So, you might be thinking, a sumo? Really? Worry might not seem like a steamrolling giant to you. Maybe more like an annoying weasel. When I say worry is a sumo, I'm talking specifically about the worry faced by people with a condition known as Generalized Anxiety Disorder, or GAD. This is not the only reason people can experience powerful, overwhelming worry, of course, but those with the diagnosis of GAD deal with it chronically. Day in, day out, worry, worry, worry. Anything that can be worried about will be worried about. As a therapist, my little ears perk up when I hear two magic words. What if? These words don't need to be stated literally, they might just be implied. That's part of the therapist's job, to notice the messages which are not stated openly. Anyway, worry is a type of thought pattern, which considers what might happen if such and such events take place. In other words, what if? And I'm not talking about the kind of what if, like, what if an unknown rich uncle dies and leaves me $50 million? Or, what if that person I had a crush on suddenly notices my TikTok video, decides I'm very intriguing, and messages me asking to go for dinner? FYI, those thought patterns are known as fantasies, not worries, just in case you're wondering. No, worry always focuses on the negative. It imagines unwanted and horrible things, which would follow the potential events what if hands us on a tarnished silver platter. The term potential, which I just mentioned, is important. Worry can be broken down into two general types. There's what I'll call concrete worry. In other words, worry which focuses on a very real problem that is happening right here and right now. I call this concrete because you could literally reach out and touch such a problem. For example, a ferocious dog is charging at me, teeth bared, drooling, and looking hungry. This is a concrete worry, meaning the unpleasant events are right in front of me in real time, and I am about to suffer. The second kind of worry, which is what this video is all about, is potential. With potential worry, the problem has not yet happened. It's in the future, not right here and now. You cannot reach out and touch it because it's not actually happening. The rolling therapist is a nerd who would love to be able to reach into the future to touch things, like an improved version of the camera I want, which won't be released for another 2 years. But I also live in reality, more or less, and sadly, I admit that only happens in sci-fi movies, probably not very good ones. With the exception of things like death and taxes, we can never really know if anticipated future events will actually happen. They might not happen, and that is the problem with worrying about them. If the nasty event never happens, worry is wasted effort, which just serves to drain your energy and put you on edge. It solves nothing because there's nothing to solve. People who do not suffer from GAD, who typically have no idea how fortunate they are able to shrug off this type of worry without much difficulty. For them, this kind of worry is, like I suggested earlier, an annoying weasel. It's bothersome. You know, it'll steal your lunch if you're not careful, but it's easily chased away. For those with generalized anxiety disorder, worry is a champion sumo. a relentless and seemingly unstoppable force. It charges into the mind, grabs your thoughts in a powerful hold, and pushes like a train. The rolling therapist thought of this admittedly odd metaphor one day while rolling along on Carl. Gazing at whatever vehicle happened to be approaching on the other side of the road, a bemused thought occurred. What if that approaching truck suddenly swerved into my lane at the last minute?
Phew.
Aha! See that? There you have a potential worry. It's not yet happened. It may never happen. If it did happen, I think we can all agree that the results would be rather unpleasant for the rolling therapist. Now, if this thought occurred to most people, they would no doubt think something along the lines of, "Ouch, what a horrible thought. Whatever. It's not going to happen." The thought would then be tossed out the window, so to speak, and the person would drive on, thinking perhaps of that unknown uncle who might at any moment kick the bucket and leave fantastic wealth behind. However, the rolling therapist is a therapist. I realized that this was a fine example of a worry which could get stuck in the mind of a person with GAD and cause a tremendous amount of anxiety and suffering. I mean, think about it. If you were flying along at high speed in the open air and a heavy vehicle, even one of those tiny Fiats is a heavy vehicle when you're on a motorcycle, jumped the line right in front of you, well, my stomach starts to do little flip-floppy things when I think about it. Sweat threatens to break out on various parts of my body, and I feel an unsettling kind of looseness settle into my bowels. So, let's stop thinking about that. Which I'm happy to say I have the luxury of doing. Imagine what it would be like if you did not have that luxury. If you could not dismiss that thought and it just kept nagging at you. This would, in clinical terms, be both exhausting and demoralizing. In normal language, it would totally suck. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if I couldn't shrug that thought off, I might start to question whether I should continue rolling the roads with Carl. That could be the end of the rolling therapist. I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt, there are people out there who would like to ride a motorcycle and don't because of this problem. Which is a shame, because riding is awesome. Anyway, this is how the rolling therapist's vivid imagination came up with the sumo metaphor. I realized that for the super worrier, that thought would intrude into the mind and stay put like a very stubborn and determined 300-pound man. Do sumos weigh 300 pounds? 400? More? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's more than any normal person can budge, especially because I'm 99% sure that sumos train to effectively resist budging. Okay, so for the person with GAD, there is an elevated difficulty tolerating uncertainty. Driving any vehicle, motorcycle, car, truck, Winnebago, is by definition an uncertain activity. Accidents happen, and there is no way to be 100% sure that they won't happen to you. Uncertainty is a breeding ground for what-if questions. Allow me to illustrate what this might look and sound like in the mind of someone with generalized anxiety disorder. What if that Hyundai driver is texting and crosses the line? What if that white Nissan truck driver nods off and the vehicle drifts into my lane? What if that generic SUV suddenly swerves into my lane? Starting to get the picture? What if that Chevy swerves? What if that truck and camper swerve? What if... Yeah, it gets a bit annoying, doesn't it? Bad enough listening to me do that for a few minutes. Imagine being trapped in a head with a brain that did that all day. Because that's pretty much what it is, being trapped in a skull with that kind of brain. People with GAD did not ask for this kind of brain. For those of you fortunate enough to live with a brain that worries in an average, annoying weasel kind of way, The rolling therapist implores you to take it easy on the super worriers. Please know that those with GAD have heard a particular phrase innumerable times. That phrase is, just don't worry about it. Saying don't worry about it to someone with GAD is like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon or toss a sumo with one hand. It's a waste of time. All it will do is frustrate both the person who says it and the person it's said to. In fact, someone with GAD can actually step back from their worry, look at it, and recognize it's not rational or realistic. They can say, yeah, I know it's not likely to happen. It doesn't matter. They worry anyway. Because it's a sumo, and if it doesn't want to be moved, you're out of luck. Life with GAD creates a constant sense of dread and dismay. It's tiring and leaves a person feeling rather hopeless. So, is there any hope? The rolling therapist is here to say, yes, there is. Here's a proud Canadian moment for me. A world leader in this area is a fellow Canuck, Dr. Michel Dugas, professor of psychology at l'Université du Québec en Outaouais. My French is not so good, and I sincerely apologize to any of my French neighbors whose ears now hurt. Anyway, Dr. Dugas is the man when it comes to this stuff. He literally wrote the book on the treatment of GAD. Now, it's a book, not a 500-word blog post. There's a lot to it, which is why this video is a part 1. I can't do it justice in one video. I admit this may have a lot to do with how much time I spent on sumos and potentially swerving vehicles. Whatever, for what's left of today's chitter-chatter, let me introduce an idea which doesn't take long to explain, although it does take both time and effort to make use of: worry beliefs. More specifically, beliefs about the usefulness of worrying. Most people know that worry is not helpful, but research has demonstrated that excessive worriers are more likely than average worriers to believe worry is a good and helpful thing. Of course, if you believe that something is good and helpful, why would you get rid of it? People with GAD are often reluctant, even if they're not completely aware of it, to ditch worry because they really believe it's necessary. Worry is not actually good and helpful, but changing one's beliefs is not an easy task. This is especially so when you might not be fully aware of what it is you believe. However, even when someone does identify one or more worry beliefs, that person does not automatically exclaim, "Oh, okay, I get it. I see the error of my ways. Ha ha ha. No more worrying for me." Do people change their political or religious beliefs instantly? Not usually. Changing beliefs typically takes a fair amount of time, effort, and discomfort. Sounds like fun, eh? Well, believe me, it's worth it to start down the road toward defeating this sumo of worry. Let me give you some examples of worry beliefs. They include thoughts like, worrying helps me to solve problems. Worrying motivates me to get things done. Worrying prevents bad things from happening to me. Worrying is doing something. Worrying shows that I care. None of these beliefs are true. For example, worrying does not help with problem solving. Problem solving helps with problem solving. Worry is completely irrelevant. In fact, it tends to interfere with good problem solving because it's distracting. It's like an annoying person looking over your shoulder as you work, nattering away with uninvited and unwanted criticisms and doubts. Each of these worry beliefs can be questioned, dismantled, and replaced with true thoughts like, worry causes me a lot of suffering and saps my energy. So, will realizing that you believe one or more of these suckers and that they are false beliefs actually be enough to stop worrying excessively? No. However, it's a darn good start. If you'd like to learn more, I've placed 2 links in the description. Both are resources provided by the excellent folks at Anxiety Canada. The first is a link to a description of Generalized Anxiety Disorder. The second goes over self-help strategies, including how to start dismantling worry beliefs. The rolling therapist will return to working on this sumo in part 2. If any sumo wrestlers do happen to watch this video, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude and respect. The rolling therapist admires your chosen career path and does not wish to be tossed through the air or crushed, as no disrespect was intended by this metaphorical video content. And before we go, what if that Nissan SUV driver is a serial killer and decides to take me out?